Imagine a quiet farm, golden fields stretching for miles, a place where life looks simple, almost forgotten by the rush of the world. In that silence lives a girl, humble, hardworking, and overlooked by many. At school, she's seen as nothing more than a farm girl, easy to mock, easy to dismiss. But what no one knows is that her father, the man who raised her in those endless fields, is a Navy SEAL. Years of discipline, survival, and strength run in her blood, though she has never boasted about it. The bullies at her school. They think they're strong. They think they've found an easy target. What happens when cruelty meets quiet resilience, when arrogance collides with a hidden power no one saw coming? This is the story of a farm girl who was underestimated, until the day the bullies pushed too far. And when they did, they discovered the truth: they picked the wrong girl. Emily Harper's mornings always began before dawn. The rooster crowed, the wind rustled the cornfields, and the smell of hay drifted into her small bedroom window. She rose before the sun because her father taught her the value of work before comfort. With her hair tied back and boots laced, she would feed the chickens, haul buckets of water, and sometimes fix a fence before even stepping foot on the school bus. Life on a farm wasn't glamorous, but it was honest. And though Emily loved the wide, open sky and the rhythm of the land, she hated what came after school. At Lincoln High, farm kids were invisible or worse, ridiculed. Emily was both. Her clothes carried the faint smell of animals and earth no matter how often she washed them. Her shoes were worn, and her hands bore the marks of labor. To the other students, especially the so-called popular ones, she was an easy mark. "Hey farm girl, did you milk the cows this morning before math?" They'd sneer. Some laughed at her braids, calling her country Barbie. Others simply shoved her in the hallway as though she didn't belong. It hurt more than Emily wanted to admit. She would sit quietly in the back of class, taking notes with the precision her father had taught her. Attention to detail, he always said. Details save lives. But in school, her discipline was mistaken for weakness. She endured the mockery without reply, even when anger burned in her chest. She never wanted her father to know. Her father, John Harper, was no ordinary man. To Emily, he was simply Dad. The one who fixed tractors, laughed at her clumsy jokes, and taught her to shoot cans off the fence posts. But beneath that quiet exterior was a history most would never understand. John was a decorated Navy SEAL who had seen combat in places Emily would never know. He carried scars both seen and unseen, but he had traded battlefields for farm fields so his daughter could grow up safe. What Emily didn't realize was that every chore he gave her, every lesson in patience and grit, was his way of passing on more than survival skills. He was shaping her into someone strong. One autumn afternoon, the bullying turned crueler. After gym class, as Emily walked out to her locker, 3 boys cornered her. Jason, the ringleader, tall and cocky, sneered. "Hey farm girl, heard your dad can't even afford real shoes for you. What's the matter? He spent all his money on hay." His friends laughed, their voices echoing through the nearly empty hallway. Emily kept her eyes down, clutching her books, her heart pounding. She thought of her father's words, "Never let anger blind you." But the sting of humiliation was sharp. Jason reached and knocked her books to the floor, scattering papers. "Pick it up, cowgirl." Emily bent down, fighting the urge to cry. She gathered her papers slowly, not wanting them to see her face flush red. One of the boys kicked her backpack further down the hall, laughing. She whispered, "Please stop." But that only fueled their cruelty. Jason crouched next to her. "Or what? You'll sick your chickens on us." It was then a quiet strength stirred in Emily, the voice of her father ringing in her memory. She stood, meeting Jason's eyes with a steadiness he didn't expect. "You don't know who you're messing with," she said softly. Her words didn't carry the weight of a threat but the calm of certainty. Jason smirked, brushing it off. To him, she was still just a farm girl. But Emily knew something had shifted inside her. For the first time, she wasn't just surviving their cruelty. She was preparing. That night, at the dinner table, John noticed her silence. "Rough day?" he asked, his piercing eyes studying her. Emily shrugged, pushing food around her plate. "It's nothing." But her father had spent years reading people in life or death situations. He knew when someone was holding back. "Emily," he said firmly, "nothing is usually something." She sighed and finally confessed. She told him about Jason, the books, the words that cut deeper than she liked to admit. She expected anger, maybe even him marching down to the school. But John simply leaned back, his face calm, unreadable. "Do you want me to fix it?" he asked. Emily shook her head. "No, I want to fix it myself." A faint smile tugged at the corners of his mouth. "Then I'll teach you how." That night, under the moonlight by the barn, John began training his daughter, not to fight recklessly, but to defend herself with confidence. Push-ups, balance drills, wrist escapes, breathing control. Emily's body ached, but she pushed harder than she ever had. Strength isn't about fists. Her father reminded her. It's about control, about knowing when to stand and when to walk away. Emily listened, every word sinking deep. For the first time, she didn't feel weak. She felt prepared. The next week, school felt different. The bullies were still there, still smirking, still tossing words like stones. But Emily carried herself differently. Her posture straight, her gaze steady, her silence no longer submission but strength. Jason noticed. Bullies always notice when their prey changes. At lunch, Jason and his friends spotted her sitting alone under the oak tree, unpacking her lunch from a brown paper bag. "Look at that," Jason said. Farm girl brought herself a picnic. They swaggered over, loud, their laughter carrying. Jason grabbed her apple and tossed it to one of his friends. "You don't need this, country Barbie. You need a steak." Emily stood slowly, her heart calm, her father's lessons echoing in her mind. "Give it back," she said, her voice even. Jason chuckled. "Or what?" He moved closer, towering over her. The other students nearby began to watch, sensing something was about to happen. Jason shoved her shoulder. "Come on, cowgirl, show us that farm strength." In that moment, Emily acted. She didn't lash out wildly. She stepped aside with precision, letting Jason stumble forward slightly. When he grabbed at her arm, she used the wrist escape her father had drilled into her, twisting smoothly, and Jason yelped in surprise. She didn't hurt him, just enough pressure to make him let go. Then she looked him in the eye, calm and unwavering. "You think strength is making people smaller than you feel weaker," she said. "That's not strength. That's fear." The crowd murmured. Jason's face reddened, his pride bruised more than his wrist. He lunged again, but Emily shifted, dropping her weight, using his momentum against him. He landed hard on the ground, staring up at her in shock. She didn't gloat. She didn't mock him. She simply picked up her apple, brushed it off, and walked away. The crowd parted in silence, eyes wide. For the first time, Jason and his friends weren't laughing. Word spread quickly. By the end of the day, everyone was talking about how the farm girl stood up to Jason. Some admired her, others whispered, but no one dared mock her to her face. Emily hadn't just defended herself, she had shown them a strength they couldn't understand. That evening, she told her father what had happened. He listened quietly, then nodded once. "You didn't fight to win," he said. "You fought to end it. That's the difference." Emily smiled faintly. "I just wanted them to stop. And now," John said, looking at his daughter with pride, "they finally will." From that day on, Emily walked through the halls not as the farm girl, to be ridiculed, but as someone untouchable, respected in silence. She didn't seek revenge, didn't carry bitterness. She simply carried herself with dignity. And the bullies, they had learned the hardest way possible that they had picked the wrong girl. By the end, the viewers walk away with a message. True strength isn't about fighting harder. It's about self-control, resilience, and refusing to let cruelty define you.